afternoon. Great afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Happy Winning Wednesday. Happy Wealthy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Legacy Lab, 60 Minutes to Black Financial Freedom. I am your host, Stephanie Miller Henderson, and I am super excited to welcome you to the month of July. Here on the Legacy Lab, I bring you some information pertaining to wealth, pertaining to legacy, pertaining to those things as it relates to financial freedom in the Black community. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can listen to the podcast on IntellectualRadio.com or anywhere where podcasts can be heard. You can also listen and view via Intellectual Radio's YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe right now. And then go on over to Stephanie Miller Henderson or at the Black Legacy Lab on YouTube and subscribe there as well for additional content around building wealth and leaving a legacy. Listeners, do you know that God didn't create you just to work and pay bills? You can build wealth and legacy today by building a business in the travel industry that you can work from anywhere, earning 8 ways and getting paid up to 10 times a month. It's time to walk in purpose and overflow. If you are interested in learning more, call or text me at 708-658-4735. Again, that number is 708-658-4735. Or you can email me at kslovestorytravel@gmail.com. Now, I actually have a special business offer for anyone who partners in business by July 13th. You will receive a complimentary 4-day, 3-night luxury hotel stay to a variety of select cities across the U.S., Mexico, the Dominican Republic, and more. So listen, it's a high travel season. It's summertime, and people are on the go. But if you are truly interested in building wealth and leaving a legacy, then by all means, one of the things you might want to do is learn how you can do that in the spaces that you're already patronizing, and that includes the travel industry. So again, thank you. If you are tuning in via Facebook, say hello, like, comment, share. Let me know where you are tuning in from. If you are tuning in via YouTube, these spaces where it can be viewed, definitely comment. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. If you are interested in sharing your business, your organization, your initiative here on the Legacy Lab, definitely contact me. I would love to have you either in studio or call in as a guest. You all, it's summertime. It's hot outside. And this month, the month of July, our focus will be time. Many of us that work in education are on summer break, right? And perhaps even summer vacation. Now, summer break doesn't mean necessarily that people are vacationing. They may be staycationing, as we call it. But there are also others who wish that they were on summer break or perhaps a summer vacation, right? People that are in other industries that don't have those weekends off, don't have that spring break off, that summer break off, that winter break off, right? And so shout out to all of those that are listening and are in the field of education. Now, as it relates to time, and I really truly wanted to bring up this topic because of something that I'm going to share in a few minutes, actually. Something that kind of struck me last week. Now, I want to, before I jump into time and what that means, especially as it relates to wealth building and legacy, I just want to share a few of my favorite quotes as it relates to time. I am a lover of the famous sayings or the quotes. And so I'm going to share some of my favorite as it relates to time. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. Time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. And then there is better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. Some of my favorite quotes as it relates to time. You may have some favorites, time waits for no one, all of those types of things. I often share early is on time is late, all of that. Some of these quotes are related to, time as like punctuality, right? But others are related to time as if in the sense of how much time we have left here on this earth. And so that's really what I want to dig into around the topic of time freedom. Many people want time freedom. Many entrepreneurs are actually positioned to receive it. But I want to, dispel any myth around that just because someone owns a business or just because someone works for themselves, it doesn't necessarily mean that he or she has time freedom. That is not what that means, right? Now, as an entrepreneur, you would think that, you know, a person can, create their own schedule, of course, right? So that gives you some sense of time freedom because you work when you want to work, right? But as a business owner, especially if you are a traditional business owner, you have a brick and mortar, an actual location that you have to go to, then, there may be some time constraints around that. Although you are in business, for yourself, or you are an entrepreneur, you still have to answer to a customer base, if you will, right? If your store says it's going to be open at 8 a.m., then honey, it needs to be open at 8 a.m., right? Because now, you start getting all those reviews and other things, right? And that can jeopardize your business. And so again, I just want to make that distinction between, being an entrepreneur and a traditional business owner as it relates to, that time freedom. Now, time freedom is the ability to control how you spend your time. It allows you to prioritize those things that align with your goals, your values, and you really just truly have the ability to live a life of your own design, right? That sounds phenomenal, to be able to wake up when you're done sleeping, to not have to ask for permission to take days off or to go on a vacation. And I often share, you know, when you're on someone's schedule, you even have to ask for permission to take a bathroom break. And so when I use the word freedom, I truly mean freedom. Um, and so this is a big deal in 2025, you all. And so I really want you to lean in to this. And as I am sharing, you're listening in, you're tuning in, I want you to call in, especially when I dig into the story that I want to share today. Definitely call in. I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions around time freedom, what it means to you. If you have time freedom, especially, I want to hear from you. Or if you are a person who feels like you are time broke, I want to hear from you as well. So feel free to call in at 708 223 8953. Again, you can call in at 708 223 8953. Let me hear from you. So listen, on Thursday, I saw an image on social media, and I believe it may have been Facebook, and it just made me, I felt some sorrow when I saw this. I even texted a couple of people like, look at this, a couple of business partners. And what the image was, it was the front of an obituary, and then next to that front of the obituary was the image of the young lady's picture was on the obituary, of course, the front of the obituary, but then next to it, it was a picture of her in her like chef uniform, if you will. And it was of a millennial business owner named Quita Cole. And many of you may have seen this, going across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. And the image, it read, reports 40-year-old Quita Cole worked 7 days a week, overworked, and burnt out. She took a nap and never woke up. Yes, this is real. That was what was captioned or quoted on top of those two images of this beautiful young lady, right? Beautiful millennial business owner. And so I, of course, wanted to fact check, make sure the image was real. And I did that. Looked around on Facebook, saw the young lady's her Facebook page and some of her posts and some of the comments on those posts. And I went to, some other platforms and went to YouTube as well, and found a video of a YouTuber who, spent maybe 10 minutes or so kind of sharing it, even read her obituary in its entirety, had pictures, that were, I'm sure, gathered from social media of her family, friends, and some of the wonderful things that people had to say about her. On her Facebook page, there was a post, something to the tune of like, I need a couple days off. I need two of me. I need one to, work or run my business, and I need another to be able to go out and enjoy myself. Um, and then there was one, the last post, I believe, said something to the tune of, taking 3 days off. And that was in April. And so when she took those 3 days off, she never came back. Um, it does not state anywhere, I didn't find like an official news story, or it didn't state anywhere like the nature of her passing, her death. But it was clear that she was tired. It was clear that she wanted to be able to take some time off. But even with the post about her taking the 3 days, there were like comments of, people who were really just expressing how much they didn't really want her to take the 3 days, because I'm assuming, the food, and this is the owner, she's the owner of a restaurant in Nashville called QC Kitchen. And so and the images, of the food looks amazing. And so customers, I'm assuming these were customers, and they were like, like, look, like we need the restaurant to be open, like, that sort of thing. Which is a good problem to have, right? Your customer base, they value you, all the things. They love your, your things on your menu, things you're offering in your business. But you have this person who is tired, working 7 days a week. And so I wanted to talk through that as it relates to time freedom. And again, thank you so much for those of you that are tuning into the Legacy Lab. Um, when we talk about building wealth, when we talk about leaving a legacy, that does not always equate to money, strictly money, right? We're talking about financial freedom, but with my wealth building business, one of the topics that we also talk about or share with people that they're going to be able to receive is that time freedom. And what that means is that, you know, the way that your business is set up is the business is set up so that you are able to make money in your absence. And so that is powerful, because when we talk about time freedom or when we talk about financial freedom, no one really wants to have to be present for every dollar that they make. If you have to be present for every dollar that you make, you won't build wealth. You won't. It's not going to happen because there's not enough time in a day. And so that's the linear income piece where I punch in, I sign in, I get paid. I punch out, I sign out, I don't get paid. If I don't work, I don't get paid. And so the truth of the matter is, many business owners are in that situation. And so that's why it's so important for us to not assume that just because someone owns something, that they're well off, that they have it all together, right? That's not the case. When I talked about the perfect combination of wealth building, if you will, it included some specific things. So if you are missing, it's like, again, the perfect meal, the perfect gumbo, if you will, and you could taste it and you're like, those real good cooks, those real good chefs, they're like, something is missing. It's just not quite right. And it's the same thing as an entrepreneur or, with your business. If you are going into business the measure of a business should definitely be a profit, right? So if your expenses is outweighing your revenue and your income, then you have to go back and you have to course correct, because that's, you don't want a business that you're ending up in the red, right? But also, again, if you have a business where it doesn't run if you're not there, then we get into this sticky situation of you not having that time freedom that an entrepreneur desires. Period. Like, I can't imagine going into business and not having freedom. Like, in that case, I'll stay on someone's clock, because it's really no distinction, right? And so when I saw this story, this image of this beautiful 40-year-old business owner who went to sleep and did not wake up, I had to just reflect. I just sat and I reflect for a few minutes. Like I said, I texted a couple of business partners, and I was like, man, this is heavy. This is really, really heavy. Um, for one, it's a young lady, a millennial, like I said, who had a business that clearly was valuable to the community. But I wonder about, and this is not, I can't speak directly to this young lady because I don't know, her family or her friends, her circle personally. I can't, so I can't touch that. But just if we look at ourselves and we reflect, the people that, are in our circle, our family, our friends, our mentors, business partners, are they encouraging you to rest? And we live in a culture and a society where we like glorify being booked and busy. No, like you want to be like rested. You want to be like rested and generating revenue or whatever. Like change the words. You want to be able to rest. But there are ways that you can rest and still generate income. Yes, that exists. There are ways out here in the world today that will allow you to make pillow money. And I'm not saying like pillow money in a sense where you have to invest this large sum of money in order to get a return. No. I mean like manageable opportunities for the everyday average individual. So if you want the time freedom, then there are ways, do your research, look around, reach out to me even. That's the premise of this podcast, is being able to give you the resources, give you the information. Now, what you do with the information is totally up to you. Information is powerful, but it's not knowing that will cost you, but it's also not executing the knowledge, right? Knowledge is only powerful when it's implemented or executed. And so, again, I'm going to take it back to this owner, Quita Cole, and her story, because it's difficult to say, like if she was, had some sort of like heart, something happened, with her heart, or there were other things, stress, fatigued, extreme fatigue, things that contributed to her going to sleep and not waking up. But based off of her post and based off of what other people that have talked about this story, it just seemed like she was tired and overworked and burnt out. um And so if you can relate to this and you are a business owner or entrepreneur, because with most employees, or let me say with most employers, it's illegal. Like you shouldn't be working 7 days a week at all for any company, or like I'm not sure what the ordinance or law is, but I could definitely make sure I bring it back for you next week. But people are not able to have you working on the clock like that. Now, as a business owner, again, you're making your own schedule. So if you have a business that's in demand and you may not have the help or whatever it may be, you schedule yourself around the clock. You schedule yourself every day. And so now, there is no rest. There's no time freedom. Your wellness has literally gone by the wayside, because again, you scheduled yourself to be present for every dollar that you had to make. So the importance of the time freedom, you all, is that it gives you, like I said, the ability to pretty much do what you want when you want. But it goes back to what I've shared regarding stress and anxiety and depression, right? Mental health. We don't only have to discuss mental health during the month of May for Mental Health Awareness Month that's recognized in the US, or during the month of June. We can talk about this every day. People are experiencing this every day. And so time freedom lets you just have reduced stress and the ability to have an increased level of well-being. That's what time freedom does, right? There's not this constant sense of rushing, and I have to be here and I have to be there and I have to show up for this person and I have to show up to do that thing. Like, wealthy people, they have time freedom. They have the time freedom that then allows them to further have that perpetual cash flow. And so there's no need to show up for every dollar. And so, you all, if you are listening to me, I want you to understand, and definitely again comment. I want to hear your thoughts about this, um, because tomorrow is not promised. And if you are listening to me and you feel like you are overworked, you are overwhelmed, take a break, pause. Even if you are not in a position to, you feel like you're not in a position financially to do so, you need to understand that you know how much money you have, but you do not know how much time you have. And so ultimately the time freedom becomes the precursor to the financial freedom, right? Because again, we're not the owners of time. That's God, not us. So you you have to be here in order to build the wealth, right? And then it's what happens while you're here that dictates how substantial your legacy is, right? Are you leaving something that's just for your child, one time, whatever? Or are you leaving something for the next 4 generations, the next 5 generations? Back to that Proverbs 13:22 principle. An inheritance. Are you leaving something for children, 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 children that you will never even meet? And so that's the legacy piece, you all. I want to say prayers, thoughts. I have prayed for this family that I do not know. Um, and if there were any children attached to this beautiful millennial business owner, entrepreneur that I do not know, prayed for those children, all those that knew and loved this business owner. And again, I just want to just really charge all of you that are listening, with understanding the importance of time freedom, the importance of owning your time. Owning a business does not automatically mean that you own your time. There is a special recipe that needs to happen in order for you to own your time and still earn at a high level. It does not happen overnight, but it can happen in a condensed time frame. And so I am actually not going to be in front of you for my typical time frame because, I really, and we're going to talk through this time freedom on we're going to dig into it a little bit deeper. But, this story was just so heavy that I wanted to lift it, and again, if you have anything to say about this, I really want to hear. I really want to hear from you. And it is my earnest prayer that no one else has to experience this overworked, burnt out, overwhelmed feeling to the point where your body physically just shuts down and you are now resting with the Lord, resting, resting. Because one thing about God is he knows better than any of us. He knows better than we do what we need. And so I'm going to leave you with a scripture. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. And if I'm incorrect, somebody corrects me. But without reading it in its entirety, come to me, all that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So if you are struggling, if you are in need of, some time, like your time broke. You don't have enough time. It's not enough 24 hours in the day for you to get done what you need to get done and still be able to take care of all you need to take care of. I want to encourage you to, one, seek the Lord and tune into what he has to say about your situation, because he is the source, but he gives us all these resources. He gives us so many resources here on this earth so that we don't have to deal with or encounter some of the things that we encounter. A lot of the things we bring on ourselves because we don't want to take advantage of what is available to us. Imagine God preparing a table for you and you never pull up a chair. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to say thank you all. Thank all of you that took some time out this afternoon to tune into the Legacy Lab. I will be back next Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, you all, I just appreciate you. Be blessed. And definitely let me know your thoughts about this piece. And again, prayers to the family of Quita Cole. May she rest in power. May she rest in peace. Blessings to you all. Thank you so much for tuning into the Legacy Lab.